We wanted to speak to Representative Byron Donalds. He's a freshman congressman from the west coast of Florida. He represents a district that includes Fort Myers and Naples. And he's a black man. And there's something in the House of Representatives called the Congressional Black Caucus. And you would think that it would be open to black members of Congress. But apparently that's not the case for every member of Congress who's black. Is it, Representative Donalds?
I probably would have to say at this point, no, it is not afforded to every black member of Congress. I think that if you're liberal or if you have an ideology that is not conservative, and they're happy to have you, but it just doesn't seem to be equitable, which is what the left seems to argue for all the time. It's funny how that works.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't Steve Cohen a white man from Memphis, Tennessee, in the Black Congressional Caucus?
I don't even know. I don't know. I didn't go around and search the membership out and who was in and who was out. But Steve Cohen's a liberal, and I think that if that's what the CBC is more concerned about liberal ideology, then so be it.
So there was another black congressman elected for the first time in the 2020 elections, Burgess Owens from Utah, the former NFL player. He said he didn't even want to join. Why did you particularly want to join a group that is overwhelmingly liberal?
So when I was in Florida's legislature in the House and at the state level, I was a part of the Legislative Black Caucus. I actually was a member my entire 4 years there. And so for me, it was a situation where you'd have an opportunity to actually have some semblance of relationships on the other side of the aisle. And that's not to weaken your positions or to pander, but it's to try to find those avenues where you can find good things to work on, even though, I have a different political ideology than people on the left. And I would tell you, it was actually a very positive experience. We were able to really meet up and discuss things and really get into some policy aspects that had nothing to do with the massive arguments of the political day. There's a lot of things that get done on a bipartisan basis in a lot of state capitals around the country. I guess it used to be that way up here on Capitol Hill. It's not that way this session. But there's still an opportunity to do that. And the last part I'll tell you is that it's a lot of times being a member, you become a caricature to other members. And it's one thing for you to be like the Republican member or the new black Republican as opposed to just being Byron. And if, members know who I am and they're like, well, that's Byron, and I'm going to support him. Or I'm going to support him even though I don't agree with him or I don't really like it, but I can have a conversation with him. And I understand what he's trying to accomplish even though I don't like the thing. It makes it for a better political process. Those are the reasons I wanted to join.
Have you talked to some Democrat members of the Congressional Black Caucus about this and asked them what they're thinking of to keep you out?
No, I mean, we hadn't. When this article dropped, we were all out on recess, so I didn't talk to them. I talked to a couple of members beforehand, and they asked me if I was trying to join. And I said, yeah. And I said, I talked to the leadership, and they're like, oh, all right, well, I guess we'll see you at some point. And that was kind of the way it was. When the article dropped, it was just kind of like, oh, I'd never heard anything back from the CBC about membership.
And you've never heard, anything since then?
No, I've never heard anything from them. No,
nobody said it was a misunderstanding.
We're on the floor now.
Go ahead.
We're on the floor now and we're voting, and I see the members. They haven't tried to talk to me. I haven't tried to talk to them. It's like I'm not begging for a membership. I put in my interest. They asked me if I wanted to join. I said I was interested in joining. I did it at the state level, and since that point, I haven't heard anything back until an article came out last week about it.
Well, they let Alan West, another black Republican from Florida, join. He served, I think, one term in Congress, and I still remember they said, well, we each bring lunch one day, and so he brought Chick-fil-A as kind of, to troll them, and but they let him come in, and he was a very conservative member of Congress. The rules must have changed since Alan West was a member.
I mean, I guess so. I just, like I said, it doesn't even make sense to me. It's really dumb. It's really stupid, and it's childish. But like I said, if that's the stance of the CBC, that's their stance. We'll be in the majority again as Republicans. I assume at that point probably their stance will change some. But that's just the way it is. And so at this point, the only thing I've been very clear on is why I wanted to join, what I think I can bring to the table, and that's really for the members of the CBC to decide for themselves.
And I know you're from Florida, where Donald Trump's from, on the other side of the state, and you've been a supporter of his. But I was looking at your biography, and one of the main issues you wanted to bring to the table to Congress was the water issues in Southwest Florida. So it's not like you're there as a some kind of Republican rabble rousing insurgent. You want to be a meat and potatoes type of guy, right? Why would they single you out?
I don't know. You got to ask them. Obviously, I think it really stems from, it stems a lot, I think, from probably, just how divisive the process has become, over the last couple of years. But I'm a freshman. I wasn't a part of that. I wasn't here. And I think that, it's really to their detriment because, I think if you get a chance to work with me and you know who I am as a person, you'll be like, man, this is a good guy. He wants to work hard. And don't get me wrong. I do a lot of TV. I do a lot of Fox and OAN and Newsmax, and I'm very opinionated when we talk about public policy. But I pretty much keep it at the public policy level. I don't get personal, because I think that doesn't really have a place here. When I was in high school, I played multiple sports, and when you're playing sports, you want to really take the other guy's head off when you're playing. You want to win, but when the game's over, the game's over. You shake hands and you move on. And sometimes it would be your friend that's on the other team, and you're trying to beat your friend, into a pulp. But when the game's over, the game's over.
Well, I think this probably helps you though in your district. It's a very conservative Republican part of the state of Florida. This probably helps you, doesn't it? To be treated this way.
It does. I think Republicans have kind of rallied around me because of this. Because it just shows the hypocrisy from the left. It shows a double standard from the left. They at one point it was, look at somebody's statements and talking about with Marjorie Taylor Greene. But then you have Ilhan Omar and her statements, and they say, just please clarify it and everything is okay. And it's really BS. I was going to say something else, but that would probably get you in trouble. But I will say the one thing about me is I don't mince words. I get to the point. I'm very direct. I'm very upfront about what I think and why. If that's a problem for you, that's frankly a problem for you. But that's what the people of the 19th District in Florida sent me here for. They sent me to stand on conservative principles and not be afraid of making my stances. And that's what I do every day that I'm up here in the People's House.
What did Burgess Owens tell you? Have you talked to him about this? Did he say, "See, I told you so, Byron"?
Nah, Burgess was just like, because we had talked about it before, about me trying to join and he not trying, and we had a conversation about it. And all Burgess said to me was just like, listen, it's messed up what happened. It just really creates a problem for them because it just shows, frankly, just ridiculous their party has become when it comes to these political matters. They've really kind of lost it, and we've seen it up here in the committee process. There's like right now, like there's this thing called suspension bills, and these are the bills where like virtually everybody agrees, so they get moved through the process quicker. Right. But in order for them to move through the process quickly, a Republican and a Democrat have to be on the bill. Right. They're basically like, no, we don't want any Republicans on any bills. So we're like, over what? Oh, because of January 6th. Okay, like if that's how you want to do it, that's fine. But it's really gotten that bitter from the other side of the aisle, and that's, but you just got to deal with it and move through it. I think over time, cooler heads will prevail. But it's just really unfortunate to see the place like this.
I think most people think that the Republicans are going to regain the majority in 2022. Would you like to be a chairman of a particular committee where you might run into some of these people who have kept you off?
Well, look, it's funny. Like, I sit on oversight, budget, and small business. So, there are Black Democrats on every committee I sit on. I'm trying to get on financial services right now. There are, both members of the squad and Black Democrats that sit on those committees. So I think I've run into the squad in just about every committee I'm on. And so it's interesting. But I got to tell you, what people don't really understand about this place, the members don't debate. Like, there's not like an active debating process where Republicans and Democrats go back and forth on the ideas that are happening. We give these 5-minute speeches where nobody's in the room in a particular committee. Nobody's there. Everybody's like, once they get done with their 5 minutes, they leave. And so there really isn't a process here to actively debate ideas. That doesn't happen. There's not a process to actively ask questions. It's really weird.
One last question briefly. Was there more democracy, you're saying, in Tallahassee than in D.C.?
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. 100%. 100% without question.
Representative Byron Donalds, I'm so glad you were elected, and I look forward to addressing you in 2023 as Mr. Chairman of some committee where you can extract some kind of revenge. Thanks for being with us.